Avec les putschs au Niger, au Gabon cet été, votre politique néocoloniale et impérialiste.
With the coups in Niger and Gabon this summer, your neo-colonial and imperialist policy in Africa has experienced one of the greatest setbacks. It's the fault of our policies driven by economic interests, from uranium to oil. Those territories are exploited solely for their natural resources, without regard of the suffering of the populations.
If you see me in the streets, better holler at me. Seeking for a beat, throw them dollars at me. I don't like defeat, take that away from me. You tryna be like me, you couldn't handle my story. But we gon' let you know, we gon' let you know. We gon' let you know, we gon' let you know.
Hey guys, thank you for tuning in and welcome back to yet another episode, man. So for our second vlog of today, man, we are going to talk about a recent video that a fan sent out to me, and it's a really telling video because all of these coups that have been occurring around West Africa, French colonies, is starting to have its effect. And in this video, we do see that the parliaments in France, they are starting to ask some questions. Of course, if something happens and you don't actually tackle the root cause of these things, you will never be able to prevent future coups. So in this video, man, the fan sent out to me, you can see a session in the French Parliament, and a parliamentarian actually woke up and stood up and he spoke exactly what everybody has been asking himself. But before we get started, I just want to say this: if you're not done it, please do pause for a minute, do hit that like button, man, give us that thumbs up, and it's all love, man. You can be part of the family and share, okay? Now, ladies and gentlemen, since 2020, man, a couple of African countries have been having coups, and some of them have been demanding that the colonial imperialist French regime leave its territory. And of course, you guys know about the back and forth situation with that of the French ambassador in Niger. And I started to ask myself, or you get to start wondering, like, these people, don't they have politicians who could actually ask these people some of these questions? Well, if you were thinking like Mr. J was thinking, man, you are in luck, because recently, man, the video came up online and on social media. A fan sent it over to Mr. J, and I was like, you know what, let's talk about this. And in this video, you can actually see that it was a session in the French Parliament, and some good politicians who actually understood what is happening and need to find out a positive and diplomatic situation. So this guy stood up and he talks some really good sense. So we are going to watch the video, man. I want you to watch the video, and then I will come back and then we're going to talk about it. You feel me? Let's watch the video.
Avec les putschs au Niger, au Gabon cet été, votre politique néocoloniale et impérialiste.
With the coups in Niger and Gabon this summer, your neo-colonial and imperialist policy in Africa has experienced one of the greatest setbacks. It's the fault of our policies driven by economic interests, from uranium to oil. Even this same colonial fact which is being denounced. In our overseas territories, they experience the persistence of this mentality. Those territories are exploited solely for their natural resources, without regard of the suffering of the populations nor at the risk of a social explosion that you will now know has come to the Sahel. You asked the soldiers to be doing humanitarian work for humanitarians. You asked them to do politics for diplomats. You asked them to only be the sounding board of the Élysée and therefore of French multinationals. And when you claimed to defend democracy, the people responded by denouncing and rejecting the cheats. The African people have no anti-French feeling, but are anti-French policies. They want to achieve their second independence, that of economic and financial sovereignty. We should close the military bases in Africa and put an end to the French CFA franc. But instead you continue to demand international sanctions, which suffocate the people and reinforce the image of a French policy that is blind to the needs of the people. You have even demanded the end of cultural cooperation with all Malian, Burkinabe and Nigerian artists, blocking the obtaining of visas for students from these states, by applying these unjust collective sanctions. You are attacking the powerful vectors of peace that are cultural and intellectual cooperation. Ms. Kalana and Mr. Vigier, when will neo-colonial arrogance leave our public policies?
Madame Colonna et Monsieur Vigier, quand l'arrogance néocoloniale va-t-elle quitter nos politiques publiques?
Now, I don't know about you, but it seems as if this guy is supposed to be an ambassador in one of these countries. You feel me? Because this man spoke And if you were of the same mindset that every politician in France is stupid, or of the mindset that every politician in that country cannot see clearly what is afoot, then this man has just disproven us. Because, and let me paraphrase, man, like you heard him say, let me just paraphrase some of the things he said. The cause in Africa is as a result of our, talking about France, our neo-colonial and imperialist policies in Africa. It's home. Now, these policies are driven by economic interest, from uranium to oil in our overseas colonies. This is exactly what is happening. France is not in any of these colonies in Africa because they really love us. They are there because they are looking for what they can steal. And when there is a natural resource, oh, they go full-fledged. And then they corrupt some of the leaders, and they back some of the leaders so that they can keep stealing these natural resources. Let me continue paraphrasing. These countries were exploited solely for their natural resources without regard of the suffering of the population. Facts. Take a look at every African country with a whole lot of resources, and every African country that speaks French as a French colony. Take a look at them. I'll start with my own country, Cameroon. Beautiful little country with a whole lot of natural resources, but if you go deep down in it, there's a whole lot of poverty. And you keep asking yourself, why do they have all of these poverty, all of these resources, and then they're living in poverty? That's crazy. But that is the neo-colonialist policies that this man is talking about. Let's keep going, man. He goes on to say African people don't have any anti-French feelings. We don't. They are anti-French policies which have no respect and regards for their sufferings. Facts. I don't hate anybody from France. I don't hate any French person. If you come to my country and try to do things by the books, if you come to my country and you're trying to respect my feelings, you're trying to respect my boundaries, you don't come and pick a faction in my country and try to sponsor them to oppress the other side, then we are good. See, this man is smart. Let's keep going with the paraphrases. He said, we should close our military bases in Africa and put an end to the CFA francs. The CFA francs, the currency that is backed by France, but is not used by France. The currency that is France that is printed. France prints currencies for all of these 14 countries. Well, those countries who just had a coup, I bet you they are going to change that. How can you be controlling the country's currency? How can you be the one printing the country's currency? Of course, if you control their currency, if you feed them, bro, you are the main man. However, let's continue. However, you continue to demand international sanctions on these countries who kick against your colonial and imperialist agenda. Bro, I need to know this man's name. Okay, any motherlandian living in France, if you know this guy's name, we need to actually check his portfolio, man, because we need to talk about politicians like this who actually do understand. But of course, the people at the top, they're not gonna listen to people like this. You feel me? It's exactly what is happening. I know this whole concept of sanctioning countries that don't toe the line. France is taking the lead. They are taking what America is doing. Yes, they just following the lead, because America and the allies, which of course you all know that France is part of that ally, they are just doing what their bosses are doing. You feel me? Let's continue with the paraphrasing. Demanding the end of all cultural collaborations with all the Malian, the Burkinabes and the Nigerian artists, and also blocking the visas, the student visas for students from all of these countries. By doing this, you are attacking the power vector of peace that are cultural and intellectual. Now, if you hate the people, if you hate the military junta for ousting your puppet, why are you going to suspend visas for students that are already studying? Why are you going to stop all the artists who are spokespeople for cultures? Why would you do that? Because you're petty. You're really petty. Let's continue, man. These people are fighting for their second independence, that of economic and financial sovereignty. We are. The dream is to see that all of these countries in Africa that were colonized by France, they start producing their own currencies. It's normal. You feel me? We are in 2023. Every country needs to start producing its own currency. No country on earth is supposed to be. It's supposed to have its currency produced by another power. But of course, because you want to keep that colonial and imperialist mindset, you keep doing this. And you put your puppets in place who are going to kiss your ass and keep buying into your mumbo jumbo. And then, let's end the paraphrases. When will neo-colonial arrogance leave our public policies? Now, ladies and gentlemen, you guys heard it. I will throw this back at you. Are you in support of this guy? And if you know this guy, what would you do if you were the president, the next president? Because we know that this guy is going to go out, but that mindset is never going to change. What would you do to the up and coming politicians that will be voted into office in France? What would you advise the future leaders regarding their French colonies? Do leave a comment. Thank you for watching, man. I hope you did hit the like, share. I love you. Be good and be nice. But hey, guess what? Second independence, we are fighting for it, and it's a dream that would definitely come true to see all of these 14 French African colonies be able to produce their own currencies, you feel me, and take hold of their own economies. I mean, peace.
Creation, reaction, God. Big up TRB family. Mr. J, I see you. I know some artists don't do this. God bless you and your families.